What people in the States have to realize is I don't care where you're from, you have everything here. You got everything. You got the best facilities in the world are here. The best coaching is here. But I feel like the kids are spoiled.
Not as hungry.
Not as hungry. The world is hungrier.
I'm your professor, I will test you in the worst way. Don't bring a scantron, it's pop quizzes all day. Cause of our chemistry, we do biology. What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Subscriber died trying. You see the thumbnail, but more importantly, you saw the clip. In some ways, I agree with Joakim Noah and Kevin Garnett. In some ways, I disagree. And I'm gonna tell you, the question is: America less competitive? And in ways, yes. And I'm gonna go back because I was in high school in Chicago when Kevin Garnett was in high school in Chicago. The first thing I could think of, and this just is an analogy for America in general using sports. I remember a time where talent can come from anywhere, right? If you're talented, you can come from anywhere. And everybody had an opportunity, because your talent gave you the opportunity. And but also what I recall is that prototypical scouting BS. What I mean is if you fit a certain mold in the way you look or in the style of play you have that reminds somebody of somebody else, people would bump you up. That doesn't mean you were better than other people, but people would bump you up. But the issue would come in is when you play the people who were talented, it didn't go so well because somebody propped you up because they saw something in you, right? So people came from small towns, or schools that were just like, what? You know, because they always had that. Even when I was a child, they always had the big universities that the best athletes were supposed to come from. But what would wind up happening is you would get people from everywhere. You're like, well, went to what school? Where is that? And more people started realizing, oh man, you got an opportunity no matter where you're at, right? And if you did well. Nowadays, that's dwindling and dwindling away. So when they say other places are hungrier, one of the reasons they're saying that is because the people that they're dealing with are spoiled because what they wind up doing was um, shrinking a talent pool because they made it a bubble. The same way they did with baseball, you know. Um, if you don't necessarily have to be talented and we're not going to look for you, but if we get these kids in this certain area, that's all we're going to work with, and we're going to make them look like they're better than they are by ignoring these other kids with more talent somewhere else. So that's the issue, because where there's poverty there's talent. You get what I'm saying? The question is, are you going to give the talent an opportunity? And what you got over the years was people, it getting more suburban. A lot of the people, the vast majority of the people that were successful came from humble beginnings. And now what you're seeing is people are coming from being well off, which nothing is wrong with that. But the issue is the same thing I remember when we were younger, that the people in well off communities were playing the political game. And what I mean by that is they were if you playing chess against them, they're making two moves when you get to make one. So I'm gonna do this over here. I'm gonna put this kid over here, put this thing over here. We're gonna have this person over here. We're gonna set this up real nice. And you when you think about, if you listen to athletes 80s, 90s, early 2000s, the stories that you hear, you're like, oh wow, because they weren't highly recruited. People didn't want them like that. Somebody got hurt, they got at the last minute. They went to some school because from the town that they were in, the big schools didn't take a look at them, but they went to a a good school per se, and then all of a sudden their talent just took them elsewhere. See, a lot of y'all don't realize Virginia Tech wasn't on the map like that till Michael Vick. Y'all don't realize Marshall Faulk put San Diego State on the map, and I'm just saying, and that's football. But even recently, right? Y'all didn't when Steph Curry was at Richmond. I think it's Richmond. I forget the doggone school name, but nobody was going there. Then Steph was lighting it up, But you had people years prior going places that weren't really, uh, like when. How can I say this? Like when Stephon Marbury went to Georgia Tech, just it came out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Dwayne Wade, when he was that was out of he seemed out of nowhere because of the university. You know what I mean? I forgot where Scottie Pippen went to college at. It was same thing with Dennis Rodman. You know, LSU wasn't like that before with Chris until Chris Jackson and Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, but him and Shaq got there because they had fell off because the last person at LSU I think that was popping was Pistol Pete Maravich. So, and you had people, Antonio McDyess at Alabama, you know, um, Mitch Richmond was at Kansas State, Big Dog Glenn Robinson was at Wisconsin, Milwaukee, or something like that. They had the big schools, but people were coming from other places just because they could hoop. And then you had people coming from high school, more people, the increase of people coming from high school. So, and the AAU started getting more powerful, and then people started making more money, and then this is where you're at now, where you see these kind of coaches and trainers say, man, these kids don't know how to play because y'all training them on skills, but they really don't have in game. They don't know how to play in the game. And other people, you say they're hungrier, is just because they play more, because they have an opportunity to play more, because there's not a governor on what they can do because they're in poverty. The overseas people, they'll deal with talent. They'll let younger people play with older people. They're more willing to do things that were done years ago. So for me, it's like, yeah, people look hungrier because truth be told, why you see things are getting more global, which they should. Talent is talent. Greatness is greatness. It just come from everywhere. But truth be told, there are a lot of people in America who were underdog stories that wind up becoming the type of people who kick the legs or the chair out from under the underdogs because they got kids or family members or friends or, in their neighborhood that they're trying to look out for at the expense of another talented kid, but they might not know it, just like we knew what was going on when we was in school, because they're in their little bubble and enclave, and they won't see these kids come around. Who the heck is that? Who the heck is that? Who the heck? Oh, that's such and such. Well, how come we ain't see him earlier? Oh, because of all the things that's going on in their life. And because he would have been on this team, but you wanted such and such, so we had to let him go. It's like, oh wow. So the spoiled kids you're dealing with are normally the kids that you spoiled. The ones that are hungry and trying to go get it, y'all really don't deal with like that. But that's just my 2 cents. You tell me what you think. Like, share, subscribe, or die trying. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace. You ever been at the top of the universe? I'm gonna take you.